All right, welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we've got some really fascinating source material. It's all about these tribes, Yajuj and Majuj.
That's right, Gog and Magog, specifically how they appear in the Quran.
Exactly. So our plan is to really dig into what this source tells us about them.
Yeah, who they were, where they might have lived, this story about a huge barrier.
And the debates around it, all straight from this text we have in front of us.
It's quite a mix, history, geography, religious text, all intertwined.
So let's just jump right in. How does the source actually describe Yajuj and Majuj? Who were they?
Okay, so based on this material, they're presented as descendants of Japheth.
Japheth, one of Prophet Nuh's sons, Noah.
Precisely. And the description paints them as pretty wild human tribes. Powerful, apparently causing just widespread chaos.
Havoc and destruction.
Exactly. Especially noted in areas we might think of as Northeast Asia.
And the source mentions a specific geographical range, because it sounds vast.
Oh, it is. The text suggests regions stretching, like from near modern Moscow and Tobolsk.
Wow.
All the way over towards Tibet, China, Turkestan. A huge swath of land.
That's incredible. And presumably, this caused problems for people living nearby.
Big problems. The source says their tax just became unbearable for neighboring communities.
Okay, so that leads us to Dhul-Qarnayn.
Right, he's the key figure who steps in, according to the narrative here.
And this is detailed in the Quran, Surah Al-Kahf, the source says.
Correct. The account there describes him deciding to act, to build a protective barrier.
Specifically between two mountains, right? To keep Yajuj and Majuj out.
Yes, a formidable barrier. And the materials are quite distinct.
Iron and copper.
Molten copper, yeah. Poured over the iron structure. Very specific.
Now, who was Dhul-Qarnayn? The source gets into that debate, doesn't it?
It does. It mentions some older ideas, like maybe Alexander the Great or Prophet Suleiman Solomon. But it highlights that a lot of modern scholars, based on the textual clues in history, lean towards Cyrus the Great.
Cyrus the Great of Persia. Okay.
Yeah, that seems to be a prominent view presented in the source.
And the Quranic story itself, what details does the source pull out?
Well, it recounts Dhul-Qarnayn arriving at this mountain pass, finding people who spoke a language he didn't know.
Needed a translator.
Right, and through the translator, they basically begged him for help against Yajuj and Majuj, asked for a barrier.
And he agreed.
He did. He organized the whole thing, getting the iron, the copper, built the wall.
And then?
Then, the source says, he thanked Allah for enabling it, but gave a really important warning.
Which was?
That the barrier wasn't permanent. That when Allah willed it, the wall would crumble.
And Yajuj and Majuj would surge forth again.
Exactly. They'd be released.
Okay, so if this barrier was physical, made of iron and copper, where is it? That's the big question the source tackles.
It is. And it mentions some common suggestions, like the Great Wall of China.
But the source dismisses that.
Pretty much. Says the description iron and copper between two mountains doesn't really match the Great Wall.
What about the Marib Dam in Yemen?
Also mentioned as a theory sometimes, but the source points out, look, that was a dam for water, not an iron and copper containment wall.
So does the source point to a more likely candidate location?
It suggests that many scholars looking at this favor somewhere in the Caucasus Mountains.
The Caucasus, between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea.
Yes, that region. And specifically, the Darial Gorge is often highlighted.
Why there?
It's a major mountain pass, and the geography, for some scholars, seems to align better with the clues in the narrative.
Fascinating. And after presenting these different views, the source concludes this part with
a very traditional phrase, and Allah knows best, acknowledging the limits of human knowledge on these matters.
Right. So recapping this deep dive based purely on our source material, we've traced Yajuj and Majuj from their origins as descendants of Japheth.
Across their suggested vast territory, learned about the immense problems they caused.
Encountered Dhul-Qarnayn, possibly Cyrus the Great, and the unique iron and copper barrier he built.
And explored the ongoing scholarly quest to pinpoint its location, maybe in the Caucasus.
And just to reiterate for you listening, this exploration is grounded entirely in the information and perspectives presented within the source document we've been discussing.
We're just laying out what's contained in the text provided.
So, thinking about this whole narrative from the source, this powerful story of containment, of a wall built against disruptive forces, but with this built-in prophecy of its eventual failure, what might that tell us? What does it make you think about, perhaps, our enduring human fears of the unknown, Or maybe the cyclical nature of conflict, containment, and eventual release throughout history and belief.
Definitely something profound to reflect on.